And the reverence that you have for our Constitution. You keep your oaths. When I look for the virtues that have sustained our country, you find them in the men and women who wear the uniform, who take the oath, and who pay the price for our freedom. America needs your leadership now more than ever, veterans. Friends, when I consider what the choices are in this election, I remember a quote from Ronald Reagan. President Reagan once said, "You can't be for big government and big taxes and big bureaucracy and still be for the little guy. The little guy, the working man, the patriotic, hard-working American who isn't asking much from their government, just basically what the little man wants. What we want is a good job in our own hometown, and we want a fiscally and physically secure union, and we want a government that we know is on our side and won't be riding our back. That's not too much for the little guy to be asking." Friends, this election is about the little guy, the working man. And that is what the Tea Party movement is all about too. That's what Tea Party Americans are standing up for and speaking out in support of. It's about the little guy who has been forgotten for too long and is now fighting back against the big powers that be. The little guy is kind of looking around today and wondering, wow, where is America going? Who is leading us down this path of this fundamental transformation of America that President Obama, as a candidate, he warned us, guys. He warned us about this, and not enough people were paying attention to what it meant to fundamentally transform America. And see, tonight, I get to say some things that maybe some of you can't say because I have no title, I have no uniform, I have no office. You know, it's Todd and me, we're trapped. I get to say what I feel, and I'm going to speak for some of you who may be thinking it, but can't say it. But what we're doing, as the little guys, we're looking around in vain for leadership in Washington, D.C. today, unfortunately. Instead of real leadership, we see a detached and distant and arrogant ruling class that is trying to not only just take away our freedoms and our opportunities, but trying to create this fake utopia for all of us here. And we're finding day by day by day that the policies that are being implemented, the policies that are voted on, adopted by this Congress, implemented by this administration aren't working. They're failing America today. And we have to say enough is enough, and we have to take it back. And that's why we're here today, is to find those candidates who will have the guts and the fortitude to say to our president, to our congressional leaders, no, enough is enough, and we are going to take it back. That is what we're doing. And does not seem to care about the little guy. It treats our Constitution as if it were nothing more than just an old piece of paper with some pretty words on it that can be interpreted whatever way that a politician perhaps would like to at that politician's convenience is all. And there does come that moment when we all have to say, no, enough is enough. The little guys all across America have risen up, and the mama grizzlies are starting to growl, that's enough. We are going to protect our young. We are going to protect the next generation of Americans. So the mama grizzlies are growling. We're rising up on our hind legs, and we're saying, no, we're going to change course. We need that real hope. We need that real change that common sense, constitutional conservatives can usher in, because the solutions provided by just the common sense constitutional little guy, they're based on time-tested truths that can work in America. They can work because they worked upon our founding. They are what allowed America to grow into the most prosperous, healthiest, voluntarily generous, healthiest, most secure nation on earth, an exceptional nation based on time-tested truths. Now, the little guys across America are rising up and shouting enough. Last year we took to the streets. This year we've taken to the polling places. And groups like the Tea Party Express, Sal, your group, doing miraculous things, pulling off great upsets throughout the primaries. Thank you so much for your you, Sal. It's been ridiculous to watch, okay, from a distance, to see what you've gone through, to see what your organization has had to put up with, the misinterpretation, the outright lies about Tea Party Americans who are just full of that patriotism, and they're full of indignation too, understanding that what's going on in America right now in our government is not good for our country, it's not good for our economy, it's not good for our national security issues, so they've decided to do something about it. So I just applaud you and tell you to keep the faith, keep going forward. The Tea Party movement is a beautiful movement. It's held both sides of the aisle accountable, and both parts of the machines and the GOP and the Democrat Party, they don't know what the heck to do with the Tea Party Americans. But it's making them work harder, and it's making them articulate more of their position so that we understand more about how our political system works. That's thanks to the Tea Party movement and what it is you're doing, Sal. Now, amazingly, the Tea Party-backed candidates, though, again, just hardworking, patriotic, common-sense Americans running for office with that Tea Party American label, if you will, they've been treated to the same ridiculous stereotypes and smears as the movement itself, and they're called extreme. But I want to know, why exactly are Tea Party Americans called extreme? Are we extreme for wanting to adhere to our Constitution? Are we extreme because instead of ruled by bureaucrats, we just want to see our leaders be adhering to the Constitution? Or are we extreme for believing in American exceptionalism instead of endless apology tours? And are we extreme because we want our government to live within its means instead of mortgaging our children's future? Now, I can say these things, and I know that some of you cannot, and I respect those in uniform who cannot always freely, I guess, because of, with all due respect to the oath that you've taken, not always being able to say perhaps what it is you feel. So let us speak for you when we say that we understand how difficult some of the decisions are that are being made in Washington, D.C. that affect you in uniform. What we have to remember, though, is Tea Party Americans, conservative Americans wanting government to be on our side and not riding our back, we have to remind each other that, no, we're not the extreme ones. We are not the ones who ran up the deficit by 235% in just 2 years. And we're not the ones bowing and kowtowing to dictators around the world. And we're not the ones that are apologizing for America. And we're not the ones taking over banks and auto industries and loan industries and healthcare industry. No, we're not the ones with this desire to fundamentally transform America. We are the ones who want to restore America and all that is good about America. We are not the extreme ones. We are the voice of reason. The majority of Americans know that we're on the wrong path. And this includes people who voted for this president and Congress, and they've had their hopes dashed. They are so disappointed. They know that tough decisions have to be made now about government spending, because the longer that we put off these decisions, the harder it's going to be on the future generations of Americans. And we don't want pandering, and we don't want to be lectured by Washington. What we want is courage and integrity in our leaders. And that is why we're going to win back Congress. And that is why when we do, the agenda has got to be bold in dealing with the economic problems that we face. Those in Congress who supported the Obama-Pelosi-Reid fundamental transformation of America, they must be fired. No tonight, and it's never smart, I guess, to pick a fight with those who buy ink by the barrel full, but what the heck. When the mainstream media just doesn't get it, and when they don't believe what perhaps your message is, so they want to belittle you and mock you and treat you with much disdain, you know, I think, well, they can do that to me, that's fine, because I know truth, and I'm fine with the political shots that they take. But what I was thinking about recently, and I shared this at the Glenn Beck rally on the steps of the Lincoln Memorials, I said, you know what, you can say whatever you want to say about me, but I raised a combat vet, and you can't take that away from me.